He never laid a hand on me, but it was still abuse. Caution. This video contains real and raw discussions of domestic violence. If this topic is sensitive for you, please take care of yourself first. It's okay to step away and come back when you're ready. You are safe here. Hey, YouTube family, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kanisha Lorraine. And if you're not new here, thank you for coming back to my channel. I want to start something off a little different today. If you've watched my last video, you know what happened to me when I was 19 years old in Greensboro, North Carolina, when I was in the woods with a shotgun to my back. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it because it is a story to be told. This video, I'm going to talk to you about my marriage. I am newly divorced. I was married for about 7+ years, and it's a story that didn't look like my last, a story that didn't look like bruises, that didn't look like physical violence, that didn't look like a shotgun being put in my back. It was something that confused me for a long time. I didn't even realize I was going through it. The different form of domestic violence that no one talks about, the silent forms of domestic violence that people don't see from the outside. This is why today's conversation and topic matters, because it's topics about domestic violence that people don't talk about. Again, the silent side of it. Before I even tell my story, let me just start with a statistic. According to the CDC, 49.4% of women have been abused psychologically by their partner in their lifetime. Let that sink in a little bit. And what I also like to bring to people's awareness is that statistics are always inaccurate. And what I mean by that is it's reported data. Statistics are, in my mind, a lot broader than what we know because everyone doesn't report. The CDC refers to this as psychological aggression. So, coercion, manipulation, control that will allow the partner, the aggressor, to control their partner. So, it looks like also trying to keep you from talking to family and friends and things of that nature. So, here's another statistic, and this is by a peer reviewed academic study. And it says 48% versus 25%. Spousal coercive control is reported nearly twice as often as physical or sexual intimate partner violence combined. That's a huge statistic. And again, statistics are only reported data. With that being said, I went into my marriage with hope. I was hopeful that he was going to be it. I was hopeful that we would live happily ever after. I was hopeful that we wouldn't end in divorce, but we did. And much of that came from the psychological abuse that I dealt with within my marriage. I felt like a prisoner in my home. I felt like I had to hide my phone, lock it in the closet or in the bathroom just to feel safe about being in my own house if he wasn't around. He somehow cloned my phone to the degree of being able to know every phone call that comes in, every text message that comes in, every email. And when I wasn't on my cell phone, I would use a landline to have conversations and lock my cell phone in the bathroom. that wasn't a way to live. That was very imprisoning. Starting my nonprofit, Majestic Hearts, I had no idea of what technological abuse was. This was my first time ever hearing about it. And that specific term is what made me realize I am in another domestically violent intimate partner relationship. And it was shocking, and as I mentioned, I didn't know because this was new for me. It's like cyber stalking and you know checking your locations, and this was before that was even a thing. And even now, because of my PTSD behind what I experienced in my marriage, I don't believe in that whole location thing between partners. It's invasive to me, and I feel like everyone should have some sort of privacy. And my privacy was violated long before I would say he had reason to. And I'll get to that in a moment. This eventually led to emotional and mental abuse. So it turned into me second guessing myself and just really wondering, am I tripping? No, I wasn't. Times where, as I mentioned in a previous video, where we would be having conversations and I would be talking to him about something, or he'll kind of regurgitate a conversation damn near verbatim that I had with somebody totally different. And he would make it seem like, no, babe, you told me that. You told me that. And I knew damn well I didn't. But I would wonder sometime, like, well, did I? No, I didn't. I don't remember us having that conversation. So the gaslighting. Now, remember in the previous video, I told you that he had me and another woman pregnant at the same time. So our first child together and the child he has with the other woman are 2 months apart. Let that sink in for a minute. Let it sink in. So also remember that I told you that baby is by a woman in the neighborhood. We all grew up in the same neighborhood together, and I was good friends with her brother. Prior to even knowing about the pregnancy or anything of that nature, he was very calculated. And so much so to where he devised or coerced me, I should say, to discontinue my relationship with the brother. And this was again prior to me being made aware of this other baby. I was pregnant at the time. I just didn't know. It was right in the beginning of my pregnancy. And he forbade me to continuing that relationship. And once everything came out, it made me realize, oh, it's because you didn't want to get caught up. Noted. Once everything came to light about the other child, he wouldn't talk about it. It was like out of sight, out of mind. He has no relationship with this child or anything of the sorts. A lot of his family didn't even know about the child until I mentioned it, not knowing they didn't know. And I would try to talk to him about certain things with the child and encourage him to build a bond in a relationship with his son. And he just wouldn't. And anytime I would bring it up, he would stonewall me. He would stop talking to me. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to discuss it. He didn't want to do right. And so, I knew he owed back child support and things of that nature. And again, he wouldn't talk to me about it. And so I remember I had the key to the mailbox and I would always check the mail. And so I go check the mail this one particular day, and he has another child prior to this one, right? And he's older and he lived in a different county than LA. And so I check the mailbox, I go in there, and I see this letter from LA Superior Court. So I'm like, what is this? And so I open it. Of course, it was not my mail, but I did open it. I did. And so I look on there and mind you, I had been talking to him and asking him about the back child support and, trying to make it right. And he wouldn't talk to me. So to me, it's like, well, I have no choice but to find out on my own. So I opened the letter up and it shows how much it was owed at the time in the back child support. And let me just tell it to you like this. He owed more in back child support than I did in student loans. And I was truly taken aback. And needless to say, it caused a big argument and it just, the saga continued. What was most important to me was that the kids get to know each other. They're siblings. They should get to know each other. I met the woman in my adulthood. As I mentioned, she is the sister of a childhood friend of mine. And I met her in our adulthood, and I hadn't seen her in umpteen years, didn't even realize it was her. But she looked very familiar. The last time I saw her, I was probably in elementary school or something like that. She's older than myself and her little brother. And so I see her at the courts. So I'm there for my oldest son's father, who is not my ex husband's father. So I'm there regarding that matter. And she's there regarding the matter with her ex husband, who was the father of her oldest son. So we're walking in the court together and we kind of like gesture, like smile, greet, hi, whatever. And so we're literally one behind the other the whole time we're, checking in, going in to the court building, all the things. And so we're chopping it up, chopping it up. And so it's like, girl, you look familiar. We're trying to place it, trying to place it. But like I said, she's about 4 years older than me. So we weren't at the same schools together. So we're going through the schools we went through. Did you go here? Did you go? Yeah, yeah. Wait, when did you graduate? I graduated. Oh, okay. Well, I was gone already. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we wound up exchanging numbers. And so I'm old school. So I like to put people in my contacts by their full name. And so I asked her, what her last name was. And when she told me, I was like, ah, I said, okay, we're going to have to talk. I already knew who she was at that point. Everything just clicked. And I said, oh, girl, we're going to have to talk. And so, we wound up talking after we both finished our business with court. And she was giving me her point of view about the whole situation between her and my ex and things of that nature. And so I'm trying to make it right because, again, it's about the kids. It's not about us. It's not about us. And I feel like the more or the sooner people can understand that, the better off these kids would be. And unfortunately, sometimes the kids are in the crosshairs or the crossfires of the bullshit because people can't be grown. And so I try to mend the fences, and unfortunately they are just so childish. Oh my goodness, so childish. It just never happened. um so there was one time where he made arrangements to see the little boy, and he was about 8 years old at that time. And he took him to a park. His mother, of course, met him at the park, and they played basketball. And she supposedly sat in the car. And then they made other arrangements to go to Chili's together to, bond some more. And so the first time he spent time with the little boy, I, gave him that. And then the second time when it came up, I was like, okay, take our oldest son together because they're 2 months apart, and our firstborn referred to the little boy as his twin. Kids are so innocent, they don't even understand the magnitude of the reality. And so he was just always eager to meet the little boy, even now, and they're both 16 years old. And so he said, "Well, I'll have to ask her." So I said, "Ask her what?" And he said, "If I can bring our son." And I said, "Well, I don't know what you need permission for. That's your other child, and that's his brother. I don't understand the big deal." So he asks her anyway. And next thing you know, she flips out, and then the little boy gets on the phone and he tells him he doesn't ever want to see him again and all this stuff. And it from what I heard, because my mother heard this conversation, my ex had the little boy on speakerphone. And so she said it sounded like he was being coerced in the background. And that's all she wrote, and she ain't write nothing else after that. And my ex has yet to see him, as far as I know of. We've been separated, or we've been apart for the past 5 years. So, as far as I know, he hasn't seen him since. But that became my fault. So he channeled all that frustration and energy onto me instead of being accountable for his own actions all these years. And that was another form of gaslighting. Hey, Booze, real quick. As you know, I've survived domestic violence twice, and I built something for the woman still trying to figure it all out. The Escape and Rebuild Kit gives you the stats, the signs, and the journal prompts to help you rebuild your life. Click the link in the description and get your copy today. Years later, I have another child, or we have another child, and it's another boy. The whole time I was pregnant with him, we were both at odds. We were fighting all the time, just constantly in disagreement, just couldn't get along. And I was miserable. And I remember us fighting over our son's name, to the point to where, again, back to the stonewalling, because he couldn't get his way, then he just kind of discarded me. And he would do that a lot. And it caused a lot of emotional drain. And it made me feel like I wasn't worthy. It made me feel like I wasn't good enough. It made me feel like he didn't love me. And, that emotional mistreatment just took a toll on me. And I remember my water broke, and we go to the hospital. It's about 6 in the morning. We get there. I delivered him so fast. He came at about 8 o'clock. And the whole time, my ex is just sitting off to the side, kikiing and ha-haing with the old friend of mine. I don't talk to her anymore. Honestly, don't know why. She just totally stopped talking to me. And I have speculation, but that's I won't entertain it on my channel. So, anywho, he's kikiing and ha-haing with her. I'm in immense pain. And mind you, my son came fast. I wasn't even admitted fully in the hospital yet when it was time to push. When you know, you know. And I'm like, I gotta push. And I'm leaning over the bed and I'm like, I gotta push. I'm rocking back and forth, rocking back and forth. And I didn't have an IV or anything. That was the one and only time I gave full fledged natural birth. And that shit hurts like a motherfucker. Okay. But I'm saying all that to say that he didn't even console me there. He wasn't, I mean, he might as well have stayed home. He just ignored me so bad. He just was totally disinterested. The only thing he was interested in was talking and conversing with my friend. So I remember us arguing in the hospital about his name, our son's name. And it got so bad to where I remember getting into the shower. It was like the next day after I had our son. And I remember just being exhausted. And I'm like, I can't do this with you. Like, I'm about to go get in the shower. I don't think I got in the shower, but just kind of like cleaned up and whatnot. And by the time I got out, he was gone. He didn't say anything to me or nothing. Now, prior to getting in the shower, I completed the birth certificate application, and I put our son's name down there in the way that it is now. And so I get out the bathroom and he crossed the name out and switched it up and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, hell no. So I have to call the birth certificate unit and tell her what's happening. And she laughed. She said, girl, I see this all the time. And I'm like, this is so sad. So I said, okay. She said, cross it out, put the name on there that you want to be on there, and I'll come get the application right now. She said, where is dad? I said, I have no idea. So she was like, all right, I got you, black woman, because we stick together. So she did just that. She was in my room probably the next 5 minutes. Okay. So I changed it back and gave it to her. And that's the name on the birth certificate. So moving forward, some months later or so, I'm checking the mail again. And revelation always come through the mail for me for some reason. Checking the mail again. And I see another something from, I want to say, I don't know, maybe the registrar or somebody, one of those government entities, and it's an affidavit. This nigga went behind my back trying to change his name, and so it's like an affidavit or something for him to change the name. And so I'm looking at this and I'm reading it. And I said, absolutely the fuck not. Rip that shit up, threw it in trash, and it was never discussed it anymore after that. But, these are some of the psychological aggressions that I dealt with within the marriage that eventually, and I'm not excusing this behavior by no means, it eventually led me to cheat on him in our marriage. And so he would say stuff to me to make me feel bad about cheating and things of that nature. And it worked. I didn't feel good about it in the first place. But women cheat for different reasons. And again, by no means am I excusing it. I'm just giving you my truth because after all, that's one of the pillars of my page, my channel is truth. And I remember him constantly reminding me of that. And so I one day come back and I was like, I clap back. And I said, well, you're a cheater too. And he's like, I never cheated on you in our marriage. It's only cheating when you're married. What? But then also in the same breath has said that every woman he's ever been with has cheated on him, but he's only been married one time. So make that make sense. I don't know. I mean, just big old contradiction. I remember once, like I told you guys before, I'm a preacher's kid, and so my mother has church. It's a home based church, and after service every Sunday we would fellowship and have dinner and things, together. And somebody in the background was talking about adultery, and we had a great time. I mean, we I thought we were moving forward in our relationship. Um, and we weren't. We were not moving forward. He was still harboring feelings and emotions, and he chose this day to say some outlandish shit to me. And someone's in the background talking about adultery, and we're eating, having a gay old time. And he turns to me and says, "You're an adulterer." So now, again, this is around the time where I'm starting to get my, like, yo, I'm sick of you. I'm about to clap back. I'm going to say, I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I'm going to say what I have to say. And so I look back at him and I said, so are you. And he's like, again, I've never cheated on you in our marriage. I said, well, I don't know that to be true. But that woman you had that baby by, that's 2 months older than our first child, she was married. She was married when y'all was messing around. Adultery doesn't just go one way. So you're also an adulterer. And I turned and continued to eat my food. And when I tell you that nigga was on hush, he had never said anything like that to me anymore after that. And the satisfaction I got off of his silence, priceless. So the moment I knew it was time to go was when he texted someone that he just knew I was having an affair with, pretending to be me. And I remember it so vividly. We were asleep. It was probably like 3 in the morning. And sometimes I get sleep paralysis. And so I always tell my partners, whoever I'm with, if you ever see me struggling to wake up and, it's like I'm trying to scream or whatever, please get me up because I'm fighting for my life in my dream. Like, my dream, typically, I'm being held down by like spirits, or it gets deep. But anyway, um, I've told him before, if this happens to me, wake me up. And so he wakes me up this particular morning. Mind you, it's about 3 a.m. And it's real aggressive, like, wake up. And he shakes me like real hard. So it scares me out my sleep. And I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what? You're having a nightmare. And I knew that wasn't true because, again, I know when I'm having sleep paralysis because I'm literally fighting to wake up. And I wasn't doing that. And so I'm like, okay. And so I roll over. And then he says, let me see your phone. Like, ugh, whatever. Grab the phone, hand it to him. Roll back over, go to sleep. So he's literally scrolling through my phone, doing whatever. I don't know why he needed my phone because he already had access to it, but whatever. So he's scrolling through my phone, and he's again, I'm asleep. And I remember waking up to my phone dinging, and it's right before my 6 o'clock alarm. And so I hear a ding, a notification like from a text. And so I go, no, I didn't wake up yet, but I was half awake. My alarm finally goes off. And so I roll over and I look at him and I said, did you find what you're looking for? May I have my phone now? So then he goes into this whole spiel about how I need to come out the closet and be a lesbian and all this stuff. And I'm like, I've never been in a closet. Like, where's this coming from? And so I'm looking through my text because, mind you, I hear the alert. And so I'm looking through my text. I see no new messages. So I'm like, that's odd. And so I asked him, I said, well, who texted me? And he's like, nobody. I'm like, I heard my phone. So, anywho, I wind up getting a message about 5 minutes later, and it said he knows what. So I was like, what, or whatever it said. It didn't make sense because I didn't say anything before that. I was asleep. So what's happening here? Then it dawned on me that he texted that person pretending to be me. And so I looked at him and I asked him, did you text such and such pretending to be me? And then he blew up because his cover was blown. He was very covert. His cover was blown. So now it goes from being empathetic about my sexuality, which I have never been in the closet in the first place, to accusing me of cheating on him again and all this stuff. And I'm like, yo, I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm not about to keep having the same conversation with you. Obviously, the trust is gone. What are we doing? By this time, we had already had our daughter. So I'm just like, I don't have anything to lose. I'm good. Like, I'm cool. So we go to counseling one last time, speaking to the counselor about what happened. And he looked at him and said, you're sabotaging your marriage. And when he said that, that was like the confirmation that I needed, or the confirmation I needed. And I said, yes, he is. I want out. I don't want to do this. And that was the moment that I chose to leave. And the apartment that he still currently stays in is because of me. It was an apartment that we both rented from one of my mom's best friends who is now deceased. But he rented it to us for the lowest of lows in the city of Inglewood. And as y'all know, and if you don't know, Inglewood is being built up. Okay. So now with all the stadiums around and all that, the rent is still below market value. So he's still getting a deal. He's still in that apartment. Okay. And the reason is because he was supposed to leave. And, I told him, like, I don't want to be with you anymore. I want a divorce. And he was going to move out. And then he probably started talking to some people, and they were like, oh, that's your place just as much as it is hers, blah, blah, blah. And so he comes at me on some, you know what? This is my place just as it is, as much as it is yours. I don't have to leave. And I looked at him. I said, you're right, I'll go. And I packed up myself and the kids, and we moved in with my parents. Now this is a two-part story, so you're gonna have to come back for the second part. In the meantime, thank you for chilling with me again for another story time with your girl Kanisha Lorraine. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you tap the bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. It's been real, y'all. Kanisha Lorraine signing out.